Good day, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone, depending on where you are joining us from today. Nice to see you all. I wanted to join today and talk to you a little bit about hub sites and a bit about what we are starting to ship out with our associated hubs. So for me, it is the most powerful to actually see it in action. So I'm going to utilize this time to do a bit of screen share and walk through setting up hubs and showing you some of the actions and the work that you can do with hubs and what happens with them. So I am going to do a quick screen share with you all. And I've tried to go ahead and maximize this so that you can see it a little bit larger. So hopefully that works. So we will go through and hopefully as I go into some of the detail screens, let me know in the chat if you want me to zoom even more. So with this, I'm going to start by showing a little bit about hubs just in general. So a lot of this functionality is admin focused, to designate a site as a hub or to associate hubs together with our new associated hubs. You do this as a site admin. So you either need to be a global admin or a SharePoint admin to be able to do this. And so with that, in our active sites panel of our SharePoint admin center, you'll come in and select that site. And so here you can see I've selected our design site, and in it you can see the hub settings here at the top. So if I come in and say edit, you can see that this is a particular site that I have already made a hub, and I have delegated the name of that hub. And at the time, I could designate who I want to be able to associate sites to that hub. Now, this is a really important step. If you want to limit the people who can designate sites or associate sites to this hub, you'll do this at hub designation. That first time you go in and create this through the UI. If you want to change this in the future, you would do this via PowerShell. So you'll come in and make this change when you create it. And then you'll see in here this new piece that's shipping as a part of our associated sites, which is the parent hub association. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm going to first show you how you go in and designate sites as a hub. So this is an existing site that's been designated as a hub. So now we're going to take our drone design site here, and we're going to go ahead and designate this as a hub. So we're going to select the hub, and then you'll see here now it says register as a hub site or associate with a hub. So as an admin, I can associate a site to a hub through the admin center, but in this case, I do want to register this site as a hub. So I'm going to go through and register this as a hub. It's going to suggest the hub name of drone design because that's the name of the site. So I can choose to say that is the name of the hub that I want. And then again, I can designate who I want to be able to associate sites to this. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and select the people that I would like to be able to associate sites to this and go through and identify who those people are so that they can designate those sites through the UI that they would be able to go in and do that. So we're going to designate a few people who will be able to associate sites. So with this, I would just pick the people that I know are the site owners for those particular sites and go ahead and hit save. And so you'll see once I do that, it's going to go ahead and make that change. And now that site is designated as a hub. So if I come over to that site and I refresh, as it goes and it does that designation, it's going to have made this a hub. And so you'll see it'll add that hub bar, and it'll give me that different information here where I can come through and edit that, as well as it's going to add in my hub site settings through the year on the site itself. So I can now come through the hub site settings and change the name, upload the logo, different navigation approval there, and saying who I want it to be. Do I want to ask people to require approval before they associate sites here? So it's great to start seeing this. And the other piece that you'll notice here is we're starting to display again that associated hub component of it. So here we'll start to display if this is part of an associated hub, you'll be able to, through hub site settings in the site itself, you'll be able to see that parent hub association as to what it is through the site itself. Now remember, you have to do this hub site association through the admin center. So only the admins can do this, but as the owner, I would be able to see what that association is through hub site settings. So you can come in and see some of these different components here through hubs and come in and customize it with the logos, showing the name in the heading or not show it. All of these great settings and configurations. So just a few things to note there. Customizing the navigation, much the same as you always do. Adding links, you do get the same kind of navigation editing experience of where I come in and I add in a label and I can put in that text here of drone sites. And I can designate if I want it to open in a new tab or not. And then as I add those, it's going to put them in the labeling and we can go in and save that. And as we edit our navigation, then it's going to start to put that into that navigation. Now, there may have been a new thing that you saw as a part of this. As I come in to edit this navigation, you'll start to see some of the different options that are starting to show up, associated hubs and associated child hubs. This again is a part of our associated hubs components. So as we've added in associated hubs, we're giving the ability to quickly and easily add in links to those associated hubs into your hub navigation so that you can easily link between those hubs through the navigation component. So you'll start to see that appear. Now let's go take a look at how you create those associated hubs. So we have our drone design and we have our design. So let's come in and take our drone design site. And with it, let's go ahead and associate a site to that. So we're going to take our Mark 8 project team and we're actually going to go ahead and associate that with a hub. So here I'm going to come in and associate that to my drone design hub site right through the admin UI. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. So that'll add a site to it. And then once I've done that, you'll see that show up in my hub. And then I'm going to take my drone design site and I'm going to go to edit the hub settings. Now remember, this is a hub site. And so I want to associate this drone design hub site to my higher up design, the hub site, because I want to associate my multiple design sites together. So you'll see when I come into that drone design site and I go to my parent hub association, it now lists all of those different hub sites that I have in my tenant. And so I can see I have global marketing, drone design, and branding and design. So I'm going to associate the drone design site to my branding and design site. And so once I do that, you'll start to see some of these just different up levelings happen. This is purely a relation of content component. So there's no setting inheritance that happens with associated hubs. This is going to allow me to have an easier way for my users to find related content amongst design components. So from that search capability, having that content relationship between my drone design and my branding and design hub is really important. And so being able to go in and see what those are and have that content be related across it. So now if I come here to my design site and I come up to my branding and design navigation, now it's one of those things where it would really make sense for me to pull in my associated hubs. And here I could pull in that link and put in my drone design link where I want that to open up. And I could say I want that to open in a new tab. And so when I pull that in, you'll see it gives it that labeling of how I want to call it. So probably don't want to call them the same thing. So we'll come up with the maybe call it design teams, maybe. Find the right naming. It's always the hardest part of a navigation component is what to call it. So we'll call it design teams, and then that'll put our drone design right there. And so it pulls in that associated link. So it'll pull that into our heading. And I can see I didn't move that out of the sublink there. There we go. Early for me. So now you see that associated hub showing up easily through that parent hub navigation. And so being able to easily associate across them. Now, this is a choice. You may choose or not choose to have the navigation show up as part of the navigation, but making it easy for you to have that navigation be something that you add into your hub navigation if so desired. So kind of having that way to quickly and easily associate hub sites together, making it easier than ever to build that relationship between the content and kind of associate things together. So it's really easy to kind of work with hub sites, to kind of associate your content together, to build those relationships, and to have that different syncing of content across the different relationships. So now I'm going to take a second to pause and maybe Besa, Brian, someone, if you want to just prompt me if there's any questions that I need to answer, because I haven't gotten a chance to pay attention to the chat.
Let's do a quick questions at this point. So there was a, would I need to be a global or collection admin for both SharePoint and Teams to designate/create a hub?
So you need to be a global admin or a SharePoint admin to designate a site as a hub or to associate hubs together. It's not a Teams admin, it's a SharePoint admin.
Cool, that's really good. And then the question from Benoit Verner, the scope of current hub and sites in the search bar, is that new? That was a good catch.
Yeah, great catch.
So that's actually really cool as well. Lou Farho is asking, will GCC get this too?
That's a great question. So, and I will say that I know there's desire to have it in GCC. I think there was a limitation that had it at first. I'm not 100% sure on the current status there, Lou. I would need to double check that and I could come back with the clear answer there. I just need to confirm it on the current status there.
Cool. And then Kent was asking, are the hubs being exposed through Graph API? So do we have an API surface for automating any of this stuff?
Again,
good
I'm
question.
Not 100% sure.
Let's follow up on that.
Yeah, I'll need to come back on that one. I recently inherited this piece, so I will need to confirm a little bit on the Graph API piece of it. I believe there were commands there, but I'm not sure if they've moved out of beta or if they're fully functional.
Yeah, I think they're actually on the SharePoint Online PowerShell side of the house and not directly in the Graph API surface, but it's a good point. Thank you for Kent on asking that. Then there was a question from Tony, what happens to the color theme of the original drone design hub site? So is anything kind of inheriting then?
Yeah, for associated hubs, as I said, this is a search content relationship only. So it does not push any of the theme inheritance or any of that relationship from hub to hub. So you notice here when I'm on branding and design, this is my parent hub, that the theming is blue, is teal. But when I go to my drone design site, which I've now associated to that, it stays the blue that the theme of that hub was designated. So there's no theme inheritance or any of those settings being pushed from hub to hub. The hub to hub associated hubs is a content relationship. It's purely that content relationship being established.
Good. And then two more. When associated to hubs, is there a visual structure in Admin Center that will show the new structure, or are we planning to do something like that?
There is not currently a plan, and there is not currently a visual structure for that. You come into the Admin Center, and as I said, you come into the hub settings, and you would see here that this is a hub and that it's associated to which parent hub. Because you can only do 3 levels, we haven't done a visual structure of this, of where I can go make this look like a tree. And so you can come into the different settings and look at this in the Admin Center as to what the site is that's a hub, and then what the parent hub association is. And then you would go to branding and design to see if there's a parent hub for it.
Yeah. Oh, Jim has a really awesome comment, which is, by the way, you can create a filtered views and save them almost like in a SharePoint list in here. So
yeah, so you can filter down to see which one they are. So you could see here that this is the hub site and this is the site that's filtered to that, but you can see it doesn't pull in the drone design that has been associated to hub with this. So it doesn't have that level. So that's where it starts to have a little bit of a missing piece because it doesn't pull the associated hubs.
Then there was a question from Gregory, and so right now in the site information, in the site collection settings, in the site side, you can associate the site to be part of a hub. Is that going to go away, or is that going to be still in here? That's going to be still in here.
That is still going to be in there where you can associate it to a hub. The piece that you won't be able to do is associate hubs to hubs from within the site information. So in here, you could still go in and associate sites to a hub. This one is already a site that's associated to a hub, so let me pick one that's not. Let's see this one. So that I can show you. That is not planned to go away, of where the users could go into their site themselves, the site owners, and go into site of information and then associate it to a hub. That is not planned to go away. So they would be able to come in and still associate a site to a hub through the UI.
Good comment from Craig as well. We are hub, so make a hub.
Yes.
Right. So hub. Yeah. So.
It is. It's a mega hub.
Mega hub. And then Sai Bola had a question: does the user needs to have rights on the associated hub? Are permission respected with the associated hub? So what about navigation?
Security trimming and permissions stay with the hub. So whatever the permissions are for that hub, that is where the adding things to the navigation bar, my cat is very opinionated on this subject, that is where adding things into the security bar gets complicated because the rights into these different hubs are still security trimmed. So if you're adding it into the security bar, into the navigation bar, and some of your users may not have rights into that, you might want to put in that information into, say, that label of that hub title where I said design teams. You might want to put in like external or something in there so that you know that your users would know that maybe they don't have rights into each of those links, so that when they get that access denied that they're not surprised. But the different hub sites remain security trimmed, so you still get all of the permissions move over, and it does not push any permissions by associating hubs together.
Yeah. And two more, and then I guess you didn't have any more content. I'm just double checking. So
yes.
Did you want to? Okay, so this basically the Q&A, and then we go to Andrew after that. So two more. Christian Walling is asking: is there a limit on the hierarchy depth of the hub associations?
3. There is a limit. 3.
Is that a hard limit for now, or are we going to update that at some point, or is it something? Is it technical limits?
So we have limited to 3. It gets really confusing to people if you go beyond that. We test it out. And so 3 is the hard limit that we've set. When you think about how many sites get associated to a hub, and then how many hubs we have with a limit of 2,000, being able to associate more than 3 hubs together could get very complex and very complicated. So we don't envision a world where you would nest further than 3 deep, but that isn't saying that it's only 3 hubs, it's 3 levels. So saying that you could have, you saw me take branding and design and then drone design. Drone design could have an entire other level of hubs that are associated to it. So it's 3 levels of hubs associated to each other, not 3 levels of sites.
I'm desperately trying to figure out what that means, but my brain is not computing. But that's a lot of sites and associations and hubs.
Yes, yes. It's a lot of sites and a lot of hubs.
Yeah, exactly. My math is just horrible, so it's okay. I think that's pretty much. There was can we get a list of reference which is hub site in the which associated hub site as a lookup in list? So this is basically, again, do we have a view on the hub of hubs and sites somewhere, or What about, that could be an option for somebody to, of course, create that the information should be exposed in the API level. So somebody could actually create an extensibility of drawing that, but we don't have that natively in the product, right?
We do not have that natively in the product.
At least for now. So yes, great partner opportunity, right? Good.
Yeah, thank you all for the great questions. This is really helpful for us. We're looking forward to people using associated hubs and giving us some real world feedback for how you're using it and what improvements you would like to see. We're definitely starting to hear improvements that people would like to see, and the first people who are starting to be concerned with hitting our 2,000 hub limits. So we're definitely looking forward to hearing people use associated hubs and hearing your feedback. So please let us keeping that feedback coming.
Excellent. Thank you, Cathy. Really good stuff, and a lot of good questions going through as well. Good to get them covered and good to have that overall view on the things.